After a 6-month legal battle, a federal judge orders North Carolina to certify Supreme Court Justice Allison Riggs as the winner of a state Supreme Court election. Justice Riggs beat Republican Jefferson Griffin by more than 700 votes after multiple recounts, but Griffin challenged the ballots of thousands of North Carolinians. The federal judge, who was appointed by President Trump, ruled that throwing out those ballots, more than 60,000 by the way, would violate the Constitution by stripping those voters of their rights. However, he put a 7-day stay on his order, which gives Griffin now time to appeal. After the ruling, Justice Riggs posted on social media saying that she's proud to continue upholding the Constitution and the rule of law as a state Supreme Court justice. Governor Josh Stein also celebrated the ruling. He said that you can't change the rules of an election after it's already occurred, and calling on Justice Jefferson Griffin now to concede and end what he calls a travesty. A federal district court just ordered the certification of the NC Supreme Court election, the governor says, reaffirming what we already knew: Allison Riggs won. Jefferson Griffin needs to concede and end this travesty, end quote. All right, joining us now, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. Interesting that this ruling was made exactly 6 months to the day of when this election took place on November the 5th. Are you surprised that this finally, the 60,000 that Griffin was trying to get rid of was deemed unconstitutional?
Not just 60,000, but to your original question, am I surprised? Not at all. We've covered this a number of times. The most recent time was the Court of Appeals ruling. It's weird that I know a lot of these judges that are connected to this. Judge Gore, who was on the Court of Appeals panel of 3 judges, and Judge Toby Hampton, know both of them very well. I'd say Judge Gore's a friend. 6 months ago, as you hit on, is what the judge, this U.S. Supreme District Court judge, said in his ruling. 6 months ago today, millions of North Carolinians exercised their right to vote, and this race is still out there. It was a close race, and he walks through the process of how we got here. He talks about the 3 different types of challenges, and that's why I say it's not just 60,000 votes. First, Judge Griffin challenged approximately 60,000 votes that didn't have a driver's license or social security number. That's just one. The second challenge was 1,400 votes of overseas voters. They were, mostly folks that were serving as missionaries or military. And then this third set this is the major one. These are these never residents. These are overseas citizens where their parents resided here. So then they have the right to vote here, but they have never lived in this state at all. So it was 3 different challenges. This has went back and forth to a number of courts. I'm talking about it ping pong all the way around the board. Started with our state Board of Elections, moved to the district court in Wake County. Then it moved instantly to federal court. Federal court said, you know what? Even though we can hear this case, the proper venue to hear this case is in state court. Went to state court, went through state court, Wake County, went to the Superior Court, went to the Court of Appeals, went to our Supreme Court. Then after that Supreme Court ruling, guess what happened? They were like, we don't like any of these decisions. We're going to challenge it back to where it started, in federal court. And that's what we have right now, a challenge in federal court. This judge's decision, as you said, these liberal judges are making some crazy decisions. Well, this is a Trump appointed judge that said, look, this is pretty clear that you guys have not followed the rules. And matter of fact, you attempted to change the rules after the game was over.
Man, this is better than Wimbledon. The tennis match.
Back and forth. Back and forth.
Just going back and forth on where it is and where it's going to go. Okay, so the Riggs camp, Justice Allison Riggs camp, is saying, hey, we won. That's great. We need Jefferson Griffin to concede. But as we said, the order stayed. He's got 7 days. Do you think he's going to go after this for one final time, or we know the next step is what the governor says. Please concede. Let's put this to bed so we can go on and do our judicial duties.
You got a couple different options you have here. So you can go to the 4th Circuit, to the Court of Appeals, which I think may be in his benefit. The 4th Circuit has leaned extremely far to the right historically, and in most recent years has done the exact same thing. But I think structurally, on the merits of the case, this, even if he appeals it, structurally, as this court said, the numbers are there. You can't decide that 60,000 voters, 1,400 voters, 200 plus voters, their rights are going to just be, their votes will just not be counted. And you'll decide that you gave these guys 14 days. The Supreme Court gave them 30 days to give an identification. And the court here took issue with some things that Griffin did. They said the vote took place in 100 different counties, but you handpicked the specific counties that you wanted to challenge. You didn't challenge all the counties. You only challenged these specific counties. And the court said, well, why did you do that? If we had a race that took place in this entire state, all 100 counties, why not challenge all of them? You challenged only the ones you wanted because those were the ones that were going to help your vote. That's what the court said. What I thought was interesting is that they're like, well, let's challenge all of them. Let's not just do seat 6, which was their race. Let's do the entire seat. Well, no, that would disrupt a lot of other races, and so that wasn't done. And the court said they thought that was interesting, something that should not have happened, that you should go through and allow these folks to vote, as the court mentioned, they've done for the last 40-plus years. The main portion was that this voter ID thing. They tried to say this was something that was an issue. Well, the State Board of Elections said that voter ID does not apply to these folks you're attempting to make it apply to. Yeah. They specifically carved out a section and said, this voter ID will make it implement for everyone else, but for these folks that are overseas, these missionaries, these people in the military, it doesn't count for them. And they had notice 7 months before the election to make a challenge. They didn't. They didn't. Griffin's camp. And then they waited till after the election to make the challenge.
It'll be interesting because the State Board of Elections is now Republican majority, and they've got their first meeting as a Republican majority this week with State Auditor Dave Bullock kind of helping run all. It'll be interesting to see if they try to change that portion, redefining that portion, and who is eligible in the future. We'll have to see. Out of time, can't do it. You'll have to watch Order in the Court. Khalif's great podcast on our free Queen City News Plus streaming app to be able to dive deeper into this. You got all the time in the world. Khalif, thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right.